The next chapter is more on tests, which goes over a lot of specifics on how we do tests and how we can make mistakes. So, with business analytics, we can figure out if someone is cheating or not cheating. And since we usually presume people are innocent until we have evidence they are guilty, we'd start out with a null that the student did not cheat until we have evidence they did cheat. Because you would want to say, well, you're innocent until I have evidence that you've cheated. So what would a type 1 error be? A type 1 error is specifically rejecting a true null. So a type 1 error is rejecting the null when it is true. And since we've rejected the null when it's true, we have made a mistake. So what does that mean in this context? The student did not cheat. The null was true, and we rejected it. We said we have evidence that the student has cheated. And we oftentimes know of many instances like that where a student gets called in, they're like, I didn't cheat. And I think we've all heard of instances like this, or hopefully not been a part of it, where an instructor thinks you've cheated and you didn't actually cheat. And this is not good for the student, and it's not so bad for the instructor. They might not ever find out that they got a student in trouble who didn't do anything. So what would a type 2 error be? It's not hard to know the other one as long as you get the first one correct. So make sure to have these written down and practice up, and don't get them reversed. Because a type 2 is failing to reject a false null. So we fail to reject the null when it is false. What does that mean here? We fail to reject the null that the student did not cheat when that is in fact false. So we continue to believe the student did not cheat. Meanwhile, the student cheated. So with this in mind right here, what happens? Well, we as instructors go by and say, great job on the test, and the student cheated. So the student gets away with cheating. It's not that a type 1 or type 2 is always worse. You'll see how in context of a question, it might depend on who you are and might depend on what the type 1 or type 2 error is. So if we give a 0 to any student who's determined to have cheated, which type of error would a student typically consider more serious? And if you were the student who got caught with a type 1 error where we said, we have evidence that you've cheated, but you actually did not cheat, you would find that more serious because you would be told you're a cheater when you're actually not cheating. So to review once again, a type 1 is rejecting a true null, and that's a mistake. A type 2 is failing to reject a false null, and that's also a mistake. Finally, we can actually talk about what a type 2 error is, and the symbol for that will be beta. We have alpha for type 1, because if we increase our alpha, we'll increase our type 1. Alpha is associated with type 1, and it's also associated with type 2, but specifically if you raise alpha, you will increase your type 1 error. Alpha is generally associated with type 1, but alpha and beta are not complements of each other. It is true, however, if you increase alpha, you will increase your power of a test, thus decreasing beta. 1 minus beta is the power of a test. So we can figure out how powerful a test is by figuring out if the test will not make type 2 errors. Think about it. In a powerful test, we have the ability to correctly reject false nulls, which means we would not make type 2 errors. Type 2 is when we fail to reject a false null. So if we have a powerful test, we would not make type 2 errors. And that's what 1 minus beta is, not making type 2 errors.